Hi there, welcome back to the Average Person Advice Channel. I'm the Average Guy Nick, and today I want to show you something I really enjoy, and that's how to make coffee, and I'm going to do it in 3 different ways. So the first way is going to be sort of the old school espresso done with the Mocha Pot. Then I'm going to show you how to make it with a French press, and finally a standard drip coffee. So let's go to the kitchen and get started. And this is a Mocha Pot, which is sort of the traditional way to make espresso. So the way it works is you put in the bottom of the pot the water, and then on top of it you have this, and you put your coffee. And what happens is, as the water heats up and the pressure builds, it forces the water up through this little spout here at the bottom, really pressurized through the coffee here up at the top, and then here at the bottom there's a second sort of filter area which makes sure that none of the coffee grinds actually get through, and then it comes out here on the spout on the top. So I put some water into this, and usually what I like to do is fill it up to about where this little metal point is here. That's sort of a just in case it gets over pressurized, and make sure the pot doesn't pop. So I just put the water up to that point. So after you put the water in, you put the thing on top and just fill it up with coffee. I usually like to do about 3/4 packed. It depends on how strong you want it. If you want it stronger, you can fill it right up to the rim. The easiest kind of recipe is you just kind of fill, your water all the way up, and you pack your Mocha Pot top, and that's going to give you a pretty good sort of pot of espresso every time. So once you complete filling your Mocha Pot up, you just tighten it. It screws on here at the base, the top, and then put it on the stove. And then we want to put it on to sort of a higher temperature. Now I have a gas stove here, so I'm doing it at about a 7 on a gas stove. It depends a bit on what your stove is, what kind of temperature you'll need. If you do it on sort of like an induction or something along those lines, you're probably still going to want to have it in that same kind of range. But test your stove out, see how hot it gets, and yeah, you can keep going here. And then what eventually will happen is, as the water boils, it will start to come up here on the top, come out that little spout, and then you'll know when it's done because you'll hear it kind of like the little last remnants of the water trying to kind of come out. And yeah, so as you can see, this is how the coffee brews, and when it comes up to the end, it starts spitting out the last bit of the water from the bottom, and pretty much when it's done spitting out the last bit of the water, the coffee is completed. So if you want to turn your espresso into a latte or cappuccino, you can also purchase something that's called a milk frother. And you can get them on, Amazon or kitchen supply stores. And basically what it does is it heats the milk while at the same time this little plastic piece in here spins, and there's 2 different types. So this one doesn't really aerate the milk very much, just a little bit, and it gives you more of like a latte kind of milk. And it also comes with this one, which adds more air and makes it foamier and turns it more into like cappuccino style. Now when you're using this, there's 2 different indicators that come with it, one here and one here. The one at the bottom is the max for the sort of foamy or milk, the cappuccino style, and the top is the max for the other milk. If you fill it beyond that point and then run it, this thing will just continue to go and it will overflow. So make sure when you fill it up, you only fill it up to that mark. So today I'm going to do a latte. As you see, I've put the milk in right up to the max mark there for the latte. Just put the lid on top, and there's a little button down here. You can just press it once, and as you can see, it starts to spin and heats the milk, and it will make it nice and warm and add a little bit of froth to it as well. So the milk's done frothing, and as you can see, it stops and the indicator light goes on here. So this is what it looks like when it's the like latte style, and I'll be adding that to my espresso shortly to make myself a nice latte. So the espresso is completed, and I've just poured some into this cup here. Now I've only done about a half a cup because I'm going to make a latte with the rest of it. So once the milk is done frothing in the frother, I'm going to put it in here, and I'll show you what the end result looks like. So this is the final product, a nice latte. And then of course, if you want, you can add a little bit of cinnamon or cocoa on top. I personally like cinnamon, so I'm going to put a bit of this in. And you just kind of want to tap a bit, otherwise you're going to end up with way too much. And there you have it. Delicious homemade latte. Enjoy. So these are the components needed to do French press coffee. It's one of my favorites. So you need the actual French press itself, and you can get different types. A lot of them are glass. I like the stainless steel one personally. And basically what a French press is just like a pot. And then it has basically a unit that has a filter on it that will basically push down all the coffee grinds once the water and the coffee sit and soak for a period of time, so that just like when you're brewing, you can get the coffee flavor and the strength up to the point or level that you want it. Now when you're making French press coffee, you need to have ground coffee beans. One of my favorite coffee companies is called Hale. When you're doing it, you can get different sizes of grind. You can do like the espresso grind, which is finer. The French press grind tends to be a little more coarse. When you're putting it in, I like to do roughly about 4 tablespoons, my apologies, for almost one complete one of these units, and this is about 1 liter. So the way to do it is to start by pouring in some boiling water. I like to go about halfway at first, and then what we want to do is actually stir this now. Wish you were here to smell this. It smells so good. So after you do a bit of a stir, and that helps kind of get it all mixed up and ready, continue to fill until you're about where you want to be. I like to do this about 3/4 full, maybe a little bit more. And you just put the lid on top for now to help keep the heat in. And then you want to set a timer depending on the strength of the coffee you want. So I like usually to let it sit for about 6 to 7 minutes, but it will depend a bit on like your roast and how strong you like the coffee, how much water you put in, all that kind of stuff. So you have to experiment a bit to see what works for you. So coffee has finished steeping. So what we're going to do now is push down the top lever. And I just like to do it sort of slower pace here. Try to catch as many of the coffee grinds as possible. And then once it's done, just pour. And there we have it, delicious French press coffee. Enjoy. And here's how we're going to make classic drip coffee with a regular coffee maker. Now, this is a pretty standard method, but I'll go through it really quickly. It's more about measurements, I guess, and ratios than anything. So first thing you want to do is, it'll depend on your coffee maker. I mean, some are single cup, some do full pot. I usually just do a single cup in a full pot coffee maker, but you can do it sort of any way that works for you. So generally the ratio I find is you need about 2 tablespoons of coffee for every, I would say, 12 ounces, which is about 375 milliliters. So something in there. So what we're going to do is put the filter in first, which I've done already here. Then we're going to add in our coffee. Now I have this scoop that I got, which is about 2 tablespoons, so I don't have to actually scoop out 2 tablespoons, but either way is fine. So I'll put that in. I like to just kind of push it down a bit, spread it out. Now we're going to add our water in. I move this over because the water will actually hit this tab here if I don't. And I just pour straight from the cup, but that way I always know I get exactly the 1 cup that I need, but you can also pour from the coffee pot instead. Then when the coffee and the water and everything's in, you just push this back in. I like to try to make sure the filter's kind of pushed in. Close it up. And then for my coffee maker, just turn it on and it starts running, and that's it. Now some coffee makers might have different functions or features. I know you can do timers. Some might have a keep warm function. This is a very basic coffee maker, so you just basically put it in, turn it on. I think there is some options for programming, but I never use that myself. There we have it, it's done dripping. And we have ourselves a nice cup of drip coffee. Enjoy. So that's it, 3 different ways to make coffee. They're all enjoyable in their own way. Of course, the drip coffee is nice and quick, and when you're really tired in the morning, sometimes you just want to get a coffee really fast. And the French press and the espresso take a little more, but you get a really enjoyable coffee that goes with that. So it just depends on the time you have and what you want to do. But as you've seen from the video, it's not extremely difficult. So if it's you love coffee, it's definitely something worth looking into and investing a little bit in. Maybe a Mocha Pot, maybe a French press, maybe a milk frother, something along those lines. So hope this video has been helpful. Once again, if you like the video, if you like the channel, please like, subscribe. It's great seeing you guys again. Until next time, Average Guy signing out for now.